Hello, Porsche Files. What are we doing today? Well, this company called RADHAUS has come up with this coolant bypass line that saves you having to pull the intake manifold off when that line breaks. So it attaches over here, and it attaches down there, and it attaches down there. So what we've done so far, we took off the front plastic, took off the engine cover, right? No big deal there. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna pull off the throttle body hose and then pull the throttle body out of the way. What looks pretty cool, it looks like they have this thing actually clocked correctly. They put them in little baggies because they've got silicone on the O-rings. Not a fan of silicone on O-rings. I would have used coolant, but hey, we're gonna learn something new. So mine have not failed yet. This has not failed. We were doing this preemptively because we're gonna take a couple of long trips and not really be near a toolbox. So that's why we're doing this. Plus it's a new product, and I love trying out new products so that people can see how well they work. The instructions are a little light. There's a video out there. I mean, Santrix does awesome videos, but nothing that's specific to this. So far, very easy. Took off the front cover, took off the top cover. If we do anything more interesting than taking off this hose and these 4 screws, I'll let you know. All right, so let's see. We are at our workspace now. What did we do? I took off the screw for the purge valve. It was a T27. So that way I'll be able to move that guy around. All right, so he's just sitting in there. You got to take that off pretty much anytime you do anything. It did take off the throttle body hose, so used a 7mm ball driver on that. And then the 4 screws that were on the throttle body. And I think I used a T20. It might be a T22, but T20 worked. So those 4 screws, and then got the electrical connector off. Sometimes be very gentle with that because these connectors are, let's just say, not robust. But I'm looking under here and I don't see any leak. This is the hose that we're going after right here. I did spray a healthy amount of brake cleaner around each of the fittings so that nothing drops in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to disconnect this guy, because rumor has it that there are anywhere up to 6 quarts of fluid, which doesn't make sense, right? Tiny hose. Engine is only hot enough for me to have pulled it out of the garage. So if we open this up and relieve all the pressure, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there's not gonna be much in there, but we'll see how much it is so that you can be prepared. All right, so here's a quick tip if you're new to plastic junk. So you'll see I've got my very long 1/4" extension, and it's down on the actual bolt. But you see how I've had to route it through this? When you're moving these things around and you're trying to figure out how to route this, be very gentle, because all this shit is plastic too. So you're actually replacing plastic now, because we don't believe it'll last, with these metal fittings. But as you're moving around, there's a whole lot of plastic. So just go slow, be gentle. It'll save you a ton of money and a ton of time. These are spinning by hand. No big issue. I'm using a 8mm 6-point socket, which works just fine because this is the bolt. Yes, you can use an E-Torx, but you don't have to. And then one of the things, if you watch Santrix video, which is a good one for sure, he uses a magnet. So this is the #1 cheat code for real mechanics, is they know to stick a magnet down there. And then once this guy is completely done, we actually bring him up with the magnet, not with the tool. So if you are new to the game, that is a massive cheat code. All right, now what I'm gonna do with these fittings is get my bolt in order so we don't lose it. What I'm going to do with these fittings is actually try to spin them a little bit, because that tends to make it easier. So I'm going to go get a screwdriver and just spin it down just maybe 5 degrees before I start to try to work it out. Otherwise, what'll happen is this guy in here will break because there's an O-ring that's been in there. I want to say this car has 70-something thousand miles on it. It's a early GTS, so that has lived there for a really long time, and it doesn't want to leave its home. So you got to be gentle, and it'll come out in one piece. At least that's what you just heard me say. Now we're going to try and do it, and I'll let you know how it works. All right, if you watch this far, here's your reward. Do not uncap the bottle. It'll just continue to run out. As soon as you cap the bottle, you're holding the vacuum, it'll be fine. Don't uncap the bottle and you won't have much fluid. You can see when we started this video, my fluid was there, it kept going, and I went, duh, let me put the cap back on, and it stopped flowing out of there. So don't uncap the bottle. We've got everything out, we've cleaned them up, and remember how I said they're gonna come out in one piece? Absolutely not. This was driver's side. As soon as I touched it, that broke off. And this was passenger side. As soon as I pulled this out, this had stayed down in the in there. So we were close. I mean, this was some brittle, this was a brittle hose down there. So probably would have been not too much longer. I'm gonna figure out how to get this out. I'm one of those guys that doesn't like to leave shit behind. So if we have to leave it behind, we do, but I'm gonna see if we can figure out how to get it out. And then we're gonna put these guys, clean them out with some paper towels. Let's see, there you go down there. So reverse is the opposite of assembly or something like that if you're a Haynes manual fan. But let's see what we find. All right, the passenger side proved to be a little bit more difficult to seat, but I did the driver's side first thinking that would be the harder one. Now, one of the things that I do is anything that goes steel into aluminum, I put thread locker on. And especially since we're dealing with a lot of water around here, we want to make sure we can get these bolts back out. So you can either use milk and magnesia, I just use blue thread locker, and that works perfect. All right, we got our line installed, right? So we got one there and the other one right there. And we did 10 Newton meters on those M6 bolts. So 9 Newton meters, 10 Newton meters, I used 10. The way I routed this, so this guy has to go back because he wants to come forward. There's a lot of hose there, but you won't get your throttle body on. So I routed it under the PCV hose, as well as under this little map sensor wire. And then I only used one zip tie. They give you 4. I used 1 right here, just kind of as some strain relief, and then got it going here. So it's not sitting on the valve cover. It's not really sitting on anything hot. The only thing it's sitting on, it's touching a little bit. Actually, maybe not. Yeah, down here, it's touching that one radiator hose. So I think we're good. So what we're gonna do now is put everything back together, and then I'm gonna pull a vacuum because number 1, I have the tool. Number 2, it's the right way to do it. So we'll get there and show you that. Okay, so I was able to pull a vacuum on it, and as you can see, the vacuum is holding nice and tight. So that means at least under vacuum, these guys are good. Now, yeah, when it gets hot, they're gonna be under pressure, but I also find that sometimes doing this allows the O-rings and the hoses to kind of seat. So that's why I like using the airlift. So we've got to put a little bit of more fluid in there, and we'll fire it up and see what happens. All right, let's fire this little lady up. Okay, let's go see if we got any leaks. That one looks nice and dry. If we open the purge valve, So we'll run it through a few cycles. Most likely she'll bleed herself off, but that's what it wanted when we had the airlift on there. So everything's cleaned up. Let's see, it is about 11:30, so pretty much 2 hours, which is what they said. And I took my sweet ass time. I cleaned the idle control valve or throttle body. What else? Cleaned up the top of the motor a little bit. Did do the full airlift. So 2 hours is probably a pretty good one. Last couple things, make sure you put some thread locker or some milk of magnesia so that the bolts don't seize. And on this side, the passenger side, or whatever if you're in England, that guy did not want to go in square. He tried to cross thread himself twice. It's a weird angle coming this way, and there's a little hose in the way. So be very careful on this side. This side I thought was going to be the bitch, and it was easy. That one turned out to be the tough one. But so far everything seems good. These things do heat up pretty quick. Let's just check the coolant temperature. We don't have any. It says it's already at 200. So we'll take her out for a test drive, have some fun. But for now, thanks for watching. Yeah, it seems like a neat product, and $3,000 I think is what people were charging to do this job. So 2 hours plus I think the hose kit, they charge like 300 bucks. So you're well under $1,000 by the time you figure out coolant and all of that stuff. So nice and easy. Nice work, RADHAUS. Nice work, Santrix. Thanks for making this upgrade for the Macan. I wish you guys were around back when the Cayennes had all these problems. Check us out at brightworks.com.